This is another in the First Read series where I read a poem by a poet I don't know or know very little about, and I just read that person's work for the first time for the sheer joy of it. I'm not trying to teach it. I'm not trying to explain it. And if I read more of their work, I might come back and have a completely different reading of it. I think that happens when you read a poet's work. This is a poem by Demoy Lindo. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. And it is in Pre, which is a journal that focuses on Caribbean writing. Demoy Lindo is Jamaican, I believe. So the title, I usually start with like the form and the title of a piece. So Let Me Sleep WhereTouch-Me-Nots Bloom. That's a pretty evocative title. I haven't read this, so I don't know what it's going to be about, but Let Me Sleep WhereTouch-Me-Nots Bloom. That whole idea of sleeping where the touch-me-nots bloom almost feels like you want to lay down to sleep for good, like you want to die there, but just being the idea of sleeping where touch-me-nots bloom, it feels like somebody has touched you, so you don't want that to continue, so you want to stay where the touch-me-nots are, where they bloom. We'll see. That's pretty emotion-related title. And right under, the title of, right under this poet's name, I'm assuming that's the name of the poet here. So this title of the poem, Let Me Sleep WhereTouch-Me-Nots Bloom. There's a little, for me, the bell tolls, right under the poet's name. This is playing on, I think this is, the Hemingway title, but Hemingway, of course, gets this from John Donne. Never ask for who the bell tolls, for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. I know I just butchered that a little bit, I'm sure. But that sense of the bell is tolling for you. Right at the beginning here. Let's see what it says. And the form, just looking through it, it doesn't look like a traditional Western form. It looks like an open form where it's like some people call this free verse, where it varies a whole lot depending on what the poet wants to say. So the form is mirroring the content. That's what I'm guessing is happening here. The stanzas are different lengths. The lines are different lengths. So let's just go through it. At 6 p.m, mother should collect me from class. That's a kind of interesting way of putting it. Mother should collect me. It's 6 p.m. It almost feels like it should have been, she did collect me, but it should collect me. Maybe this works here. It could be just the use of English in Jamaica, or it could be playing off of that idea here that ended at 5 for others. So the class ended at 5, but this student is staying till 6. We don't know why right here this person stays, but it's staying. There are lots of reasons this could happen. I mean, like parents leave their kids after because they have to work, or who knows what are the reasons, but we don't know yet. In that extra hour, my English teacher taught me more than I could speak. Right off the bat. So the person who teaches you English taught me more than I could speak. So it feels like she's being taught more than, I'm assuming it's a she here, but we'll see what happens. Like the narrator, the speaker is being taught more than they can say. Is this like an overabundance of English being taught, or is something else being taught here? It doesn't feel like it's the language, because it's more than I could speak, unless it's at such a rate that would be difficult to speak it. I learned that being below 16 no longer means you can't say yes, but not even no. Well, this is a troubling little stanza. We have this, refrain we say to teach girls and teach boys that, just say no, right? If you don't want to continue on with a sex act. That's being played on here, I think. This kind of sense of I can't say yes or no. And it's hard to know because you have the mother leaving her. It's almost like in the beginning, it's the mother's leaving her on purpose, like somebody would for a job, and maybe for some other reason. So, like, she can't say no to staying, but she can't say yes that she wants to be there, or No, so she's stuck. I learned his address, path to his door, where neighbors can't see the color of his sheets. Yeah, this looks like what I was thinking it was going towards. It looks like this young, female narrator is being sexually abused. To count buttons on his shirt honored how haste can stick a zip, how thunderous breaths below, even the longest skirts off. Breaths below, there's this, great double sound here of the bees, the harshness of it in this scene. I learned how long I could hold mine. The sense of holding one's breath while somebody else is blowing it off. It's like the big bad wolf is blowing off her clothes at this point. How tight hands can grip small necks, small waist, growing breast and thighs. So she's learning all this stuff from her English teacher, which is so sad, honestly. This abuse of whatever it is, a power of desire, whatever it is. It's unfortunately so common. But I feel like we're in the middle of a witness poem here. We're just seeing it. There's not a lot of commentary at this point in the poem. It's just this is what I learned. I learned that the body of an hourglass is filled with sand because it was made to bury men, to be dead and be buried. This hour between 5 and 6 when the other students go home and she's left there, it's burying people. It's burying the dead. It's just playing on this kind of how it's burying her. If he were to read my pulse as a time, that'd be a whore past 5 and nothing else. It's so hard. This situation of this young female speaker is she's not in control and is being buried by this time that repeats. The bottom of that hourglass is a girl. When all the sand piles on her belly, she is out of time. This kind of sense of being buried and dying in this hour, she's there. Really powerful image, and I think takes this something that could be a cliched image of an hourglass and transforms it into this powerful image of this girl dying, her like sense of youth dying in this act. This was my first time being in a man's yard. And straight from there into this next line, it's paratactic. It's not connected, but it's enough that we can understand it. It's like she's the speaker is going from this horrible image to something completely separate, but it makes sense. I hope touch-me-nots bloom where I sleep. So she doesn't want to be there, wherever this is, where she's being buried in the sand. She doesn't want to sleep there. I'll be resting where the touch-me-nots bloom. This whole stanza is in parentheses. For if girls could speak words from flowers in their graves. And I was right in my beginning sense of the title, that the sleep could be the sleep of death that is being talked about. But I think it's like a literal death. It's a death of innocence, of childhood, of ability, of imagination, whatever you want to say. I will be resting where touch-me-nots bloom, for if girls could speak words from flowers in their grave, I wonder how many men could escape shame. Which is sad and true, and this happens to so many girls. I don't even feel like we need the details of why her mother is letting her stay there, because it happens so often. There's going to be another reason for another person. And it's a repeating thing, and it's just horrific, the violence against women. This one, I think, is great. Like I said, is a witness poem. It's very strong and getting across the idea of what's happened here. Definitely interested to read more about this person from this poet. It's such an evocative piece. Like I said, this is Demoy Lindo. It just says she's young poet laureate from Jamaica. Shows a picture of her at the bottom. So there you go.